On JTV, and it's time for the Chamber Connection, and with Pat O'Dowd from the Jackson Chamber of Commerce and Susan Waite from Beltone Hearing Centers, Mid-Michigan. Susan, how are you?
I'm good.
It's good to see you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on, and excited for all of your support of the Chamber. I know you've been a member for a long time, and certainly appreciate the support.
Yeah, well, we appreciate everything the Chamber does for us.
Thank you.
Susan, what's the importance of hearing health?
Hearing health is very important. There are over 400 million people in the world that have hearing loss.
Oh, wow.
And so many times it goes untreated. But when you have a hearing loss, it's going to affect you in many, many different ways. It will affect you socially. You will become socially withdrawn because you can't hear and understand people. You will also get stress and anxiety from it. They now link untreated hearing loss to many other health issues. You know, with the stress and the anxiety and hypertension, cardiovascular disease, dementia, Alzheimer's. Johns Hopkins recently did a study that linked hearing loss to early onset dementia and Alzheimer's. It affects your cognitive thinking. It also can affect your income. So there are studies that show that people that have hearing loss will make up to $30,000 less than they could if they had better hearing, because they would be able to get a better job. So there's a whole lot of things that why people should have a hearing test done and have their hearing checked annually, just like you have your blood pressure checked, your cholesterol checked, your eyes checked, and you have all these other things done, but sometimes they just forget about your hearing, and it's important.
Yeah, it's not something that we probably think of going to do every year is get our hearing checked.
No, I know I don't. And Andy mentioned before we came on that he's getting too old to do some of the stuff that he used to do. What
He's
age?
still a baby.
what age do you recommend that people start to include that in their annual checkups?
Well, I think average like around 50. But if you start to notice sooner that you're turning the volume of the television up, or you're saying what a lot, when you'll start to know yourself if you feel like you need that done. Sometimes a person can just have a wax impaction in their ears, and they'll think they're getting hearing loss, and then they'll come in with us. The first thing we check is we check their ears, and if they have wax in their ears, we'll have them get the wax removed, and then they might hear fine afterwards. But around 50 years old, because we're seeing a lot of younger and younger clientele. You're there, huh?
I'm getting
Well, he looks there. He's almost there.
I'm getting there. I'm 5 years away, but I think I'll start early though.
When your
just
wife
to be on the
starts
safe
yelling
side.
at you, that's a good sign.
Well, you're about a few days late on that one.
Yeah, my wife has been yelling at me since March 17th of 2016. That's our anniversary.
What about COVID? How has that impacted either your industry or the way you guys are doing things?
So with COVID, our store, we did stay open, but not so much as the store as me individually. My staff was laid off, but I had all the phones routed to me. So I did a lot of parking lot service, a lot of driveway service, a lot of front porch service, things like that, because it's important. When something happens to their hearing aid and they can't hear, it's panic time. But the big thing is I want to talk about the masks today, because most of us, I brought a couple of different masks along, but this is the basic kind of mask that everybody is wearing, goes behind their ears. Well, for our patients that have a hearing aid that goes behind their ears, they pull the mask off, the hearing aid goes flying.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people lose their hearing aids. And another thing is that when a person with a hearing loss is trying to listen to someone who's wearing a mask, they can't see their mouth.
Right.
It's very, very important. So they do make different kinds of masks now. This is like a clear mask. This was something we found on Amazon, probably not the best, but it goes behind the ears still, but you can still see the person's face.
Nice.
So for a hearing impaired person, it's better understanding. Another type of thing that's out is called the gaiters, or the neck warmers.
Right.
And these, of course, will go over your head. If you're wearing a behind the ear hearing aid, you're afraid of losing it, you do this. And I want to say that the heavier the material, though, the better the masks are, the more preventative they are for getting any germs from anybody. But when a person is wearing a mask, you have to remember that when you're talking to them with this mask on, that your volume of your voice can be affected between 4 and 12 decibels.
Oh, wow.
So you need to raise your voice a little bit. You need to have eye contact and look at the person you're talking to help them. And the number one thing is you need to be patient with people that you know that have hearing loss, because they're struggling right now. They're really having a hard time.
Is the, I don't know, not necessarily the embarrassment, but what are the reasons people wouldn't come in? I mean, is it, if I notice, say my mother is not hearing too well and maybe she's being a little bit stubborn, what are the feelings behind that, coming in to get a hearing aid?
For some reason, there's always been this stigma associated with hearing loss. It's for old people. And they think it's like an admission of I'm old. And it's not like that anymore. I mean, today's hearing aids, they got you do everything through your phone, and they're all modern, they're very cosmetic, and most people don't even notice you're wearing a hearing aid. But it's just a stigma that's always been associated, and we try really hard to get the education of hearing loss out there to help reduce that stigma.
I know that with technology, Bluetooth right to the phone and things like that, you guys have devices and apps that I'm sure are at the cutting edge of technology.
Yep, when you get a phone call, it rings right in your ears. You hear in stereo on the phone, it's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the things my husband loves about his hearing aids. And hearing aids are all wireless now. They have rechargeable batteries. I can program a hearing aid from halfway around the world now from my computer to their phone.
That's had to have been a game changer for you.
Pretty cool.
The service that you're able to offer, absolutely.
Yeah, that was very helpful during COVID.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about the Beltone Foundation and kind of what you guys are doing and helping your patients.
Beltone has a foundation to help people that need hearing aids that are unable to get them. Like right now I'm working with a young girl who's only 40 years old, mother of 4, laid off from her job right now because of COVID. She's had some surgery done on her left ear, which has hurt her hearing in that ear, and we're working on getting her help to help that ear. So there's people like that we try to help all the time. We also have lots of different insurance companies we work with for discount programs that people aren't even aware of. We try to find them the best thing that we can find for them that's within their means and be able to help them to get the help they need.
So if somebody...
I was going to ask a ridiculous question. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sure it wasn't ridiculous, but if somebody out there is, what's the process? Just give the office a call, make an appointment. Is there a charge up front for a hearing test?
No, at Beltone we don't charge, and at many other hearing aid centers they don't charge, but some places do. But the first step is having a hearing test done. Have your ears checked. Tone test is done first, then some speech testing. It doesn't hurt. We don't poke you. We don't draw blood. We don't do any of those things. It's very painless. And then it's good to have a baseline, just even so you know for future reference what kind of hearing loss you have or don't have.
And you have a phenomenal staff, I know, over there.
I sure do. I have a great staff and a lot of people that have been with me for a long time, and we treat you good. We used to do coffee and cookies, but now with COVID, we can't do coffee and cookies anymore, unfortunately.
Is there a job or a career that you see people with a lot of hearing loss related to what they do for a living?
Yes. So you mean to people that would have hearing loss from their job? Yeah, acoustic trauma, hearing loss caused by noise, is the number one thing we see, which is people that work in a noisy environment, or like my husband, who's a musician, cuts wood to heat our house. He's a hunter, loud noise. So that's what causes most hearing losses. But sometimes hearing loss can be genetic. Sometimes people that have diabetes will have hearing loss. It's part of the diabetes. Sometimes different medications a person might take. So there's a lot of reasons, but noise is number one. So wear hearing protection when you're in noise.
So when you're in the garage jamming out with the kids or the band or whatever,
I'll put something on.
Earphones.
So thank you, Susan. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's great to hear from you today. And one more thing, I want to ask you about children. What should anyone be looking for when it comes to children, and maybe if they should get an appointment?
We're very fortunate with the technology that's out there today that little babies are tested before they leave the hospital, so they can kind of have an idea if they've been born with anything. But most kids, it's usually when they start school, teachers will help to notice if there's something going on. Or you might notice, your kids, even when you're reading them a book, if you've got the book up like this and they can't see you, they want the book down so they can see you. So just watch for things like that. If you are hollering at one of your children and they don't answer, it doesn't mean they have a hearing loss. That's selective hearing.
I have 3 children that never hear me when they
That's
selective.
Now, I don't know what you're doing for lunch today, but I know what you're doing for lunch.
Absolutely.
I saw this picture on Facebook. This gentleman, Ted Christoph, was putting on coney sauce socks. What is going on?
So Jackstober today is the 1st of October, so it's the first day of Jackstober. Our featured business of the day is Christoph's floor covering. So Ted is having free conies from 11 to 1 over at Christoph's, and he's got that Virginia Coney Island shirt. His family used to own that, and he put on the socks. So from 11 to 1, free conies. And if you go into Christoph's today and mention Jackstober, you are going to be registered for a drawing $500 in-store credit. So if you have any carpeting, any flooring needs that you have, you can register or just mention Jackstober, and you might win $500 from Christoph's. On your screen, you can see our contest. We're giving away $1,000.
Unbelievable.
In gift cards to one lucky winner that signs up. Go to jacksonchamber.org/Jackstober to get registered today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll do
Happy Jackstober.
That's great. I can't wait to get one of these conies.
We're trying to drown out the negativity of the politics and everything else, the clown show that was the debate, I think they called it. There's so much divisive stuff on social media.
Conies and free giveations. Sounds good to me.
Jackstober. We have a wonderful community. Let's celebrate it.
Yeah, I agree.
Sounds good. Thanks, Susan.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back after this quick break.